And now I'd like to welcome Shannon Biggs, who will be speaking to communities throughout the United States that are embracing this idea of ecological economics and creating a rights-based movement for nature.
Thank you. I'm really thrilled to be here, and I want to thank our judges for spending the day with us in this new courtroom that we've created, where the rights of ecosystems are recognized. Because that's really what we're talking about. If we're not talking about, in current existing law, nature is seen as property, as a slave. As Native Americans were once not recognized, their rights were not recognized. African Americans, women, the list goes on and on. Our court of law makes mistakes all the time. And sometimes it's working just perfectly, just not for the right folks. But movements for rights have always sought to see and recognize the rights that have already existed. We're not creating new rights for ecosystems. Those rights exist. Close your eyes or keep them open. Ask yourselves, where does my right to take my next breath come from? Does it come from a piece of paper from government? No. And where does that next breath of life come from? Comes from Mother Earth herself, from the relationship that we have every day. Nature isn't that thing that we go visit. It's that thing we live and breathe with every single breath of life. And if we cannot recognize the ecosystem upon which we depend, in our own human laws, fail to recognize that relationship, then that system of law is out of order. I put to our attorney that it is not what Chevron does when he violates the law that is really on trial here today. I don't care so much about just the violations. It is the fact that Chevron operates with impunity each and every day in violation of the rights of ecosystems and the people who live in those ecosystems every day in every way. Our system of law gives the permits for that corporation to act as it does. And who writes the regulatory who writes those regulations that we beg our system of law to enforce? Who helps write those? Chevron. We're going into courtrooms every day asking for permission to please enforce the laws that Chevron asked us to write in the first place. Our system of law has got a few problems. And we are here, and the work that I do every day is because communities, my day begins with a phone call from a community from Mount Shasta, California, who says that a large corporation is coming to do cloud seeding or to steal water from the aquifer, or from a community living in around a refinery who says every day, my children can't breathe. And we've done all of the legal remedies. We've jumped through all the hoops. We've been to all the environmental hearings. We've gone to the protests. We've learned about parts per million. We've become experts in this legal language that they've put forward. But what about our rights as people who live in a place and are tied to a place? What about how many parts per million do you think what does that have to do with the rights of people taking their next breath of air and knowing that we're creating cancer clusters and asthma rates are soaring and the water's not clean and the animals are dying and the roots are too dirty to make traditional baskets, the fish are dying. I mean, all of these things point to a system of laws that allow Chevron to act as they do. I work with communities who say, I've tried everything under the law, and we cannot get justice. Well, I'm here to tell you that the law isn't about justice. Human law isn't set up for justice. But what if it were? What if it were? That's what we're here to talk about today, a courtroom in which ecosystems have recognized rights. Because I think, as Clayton Thomas Mueller from Canada says, we call it the duh principle. Communities know when they're being poisoned without a scientific study that says certain parts per million. And it's up to our communities to act as stewards of our ecosystems. 180 communities across the United States have said, if our courts and our laws won't protect us, then we must write new laws. The civil rights movement, how can we protect nature when we still see our mother as property? We can't. That's what this court is here, is to give us an opportunity to say, this is the future. Once upon a time, there were people sitting at lunch counters demanding to be served at the lunch counters in the Deep South because the law didn't recognize their rights. But we're saying rights don't come from law. And in order for us to change the law, we have to put in new ways and new perspectives. I see you. Communities are ready, willing, and able to step forward to write new laws. 180 have already done so. Mendocino has written a law banning fracking, banning the extraction of water for fracking, because they have the right as a community to protect their ecosystem and to recognize the right of the ecosystem to be free from fracking. This is the way forward. That's what's so beautiful about this opportunity today. I come with every community that I've ever worked with and every breath that I take to stand in this courtroom and ask the judges to put not only Chevron and the fossil fuel industry, but on behalf of the communities everywhere where the laws are unjust, to say, please, on behalf of all of those people and ecosystems, it's time to recognize rights for ecosystem now. Thank you.